Congratulations on getting started designing your own cookbook, and thank you for partnering with Creative Cookbooks. This demonstration is going to help you get started using our software. So first things first, when you first log in, this is the page you're going to see. We recommend that you begin by clicking Cookbook Home, and then on the right-hand side here from the drop-down, click on Quick Start. That way, it switches your home page to the dashboard with all the tools that you're going to need to lay out, design, and create your cookbook. These 5 tiles here are the main design components, from recipes to layout design, your cookbook account info, the contributors, and finally, publishing. Before you dive into some of the more complex concepts, we recommend that you start at the Recipe Center and begin by adding a recipe. The form builder will come up here on this screen, and it shows you all the different spots to basically fill in the ingredients and the directions, number of servings, preparation time, and so forth. It's super easy. The template will place these elements into your cookbook, so you don't have to do any formatting. So let's begin by popping in a recipe. I've got one here, St. Louis style barbecue pork steaks. Who doesn't love those? So I copy and paste the recipe name into the recipe title field and then decide if I need a special symbol. And I think I'm going to pick barbecue for this one. So we'll place this little barbecue symbol next to it in the recipe and also on the index. The index will automatically build for you as well, which is a really cool and exciting feature. The select category is next, and so there are some pre-built categories for you to choose from. In this particular case, I'm just going to go main courses, beef, pork, and lamb. The contributor, it defaults in to the person that you're signed in as. So I'm signed in as Karen Smith. If I wanted to change the name because I got this recipe from Grandma Smith, then I will type Grandma Smith into the contributor name. And I'll show you where that shows up in your book when we take a look at the preview. The next thing we're going to do is keep it simple here. Instead of showing our subtitle and making a multi-part recipe, we're going to stick with a very basic recipe and put the ingredients in. Now, I have this recipe where I can copy and paste the ingredients. So I'm just going to do that. But if you were to be typing this in organically, you can use this insert character if you wanted to put in, say, a fraction, and it goes all the way down to practically every fraction you'll need, or if you have a French recipe that requires a little tilde over the E or some such, this is where you would insert those characters. Same with degree, which is super helpful when you're putting in the degrees that you preheat an oven to, and so forth. Then there's a little helpful hint table here in case you need to refer to it. Next is your directions. So again, I have these where I can copy and paste. So let me just do that. And again, if you need to insert a special character, say I wanted to preheat the grill to 450 degrees, I would do 450 degree, and then magically it will pop that in there for you. Next up is number of servings and preparation time. If you know this information, great. If you don't, you definitely do not have to enter it. And if you think that you will be entering it for some recipes and not others, and you want it to show in your cookbook, there's a choice for you to either show that or to hide that. So we'll go over that in just a little bit when we talk about some of the settings. After that are your personal notes. So for this one, I'm just going to put in a little bit of a blurb about barbecue pork steaks and their history with St. Louis, so you can see what that looks like when it publishes. And finally, the index terms. So the index itself will actually build based on whatever you might put in here in addition to the category and the symbol that we had above. So for this one, I might just put pork, and I might put barbecue, and I think that's all that I need for this one. After that, I simply click Save, and then it will add the recipe to the cookbook. Now, you might be wondering, what was that you were trying to say about a recipe that has more than one part? Let's just take a look at that. If you have a recipe, for instance, that might have crust and sauce, pizza, right? I'm going to show you how you can enter that so that you have separate ingredients and instructions for each, okay? So this one we're going to say St. Louis style pizza, and I'm copying and pasting to make it easy. For the symbol here, we're going to say kid-friendly, because pizza is always kid-friendly, right? And then for the category, where does pizza fall? I think it falls under maybe the miscellaneous category. And for this one, I'm going to say that Grandpa Smith gave us the recipe because he's a pretty wonderful guy and always loved to make pizza. And because it's a two-part recipe, we're going to click on Show Subtitle and make a multi-part recipe. So for this one, the sub-recipe title is crust, and the ingredients for the crust are here. Let me just copy and paste. And the directions for the crust are here. And then we're going to add a new sub-recipe so that we can put the sauce. And the ingredients for the sauce are here. And your directions for sauce are here. After that, it gives me the number of servings and prep time option. I don't have those. And for personal notes, we're just going to talk about St. Louis style pizza. Maybe we would have a little blurb about Grandpa and how he used to make it, or whatever memory you might want to add to it. And that's it. Our index terms are last. So we're going to say, maybe we're going to say pepperoni. Maybe we'll say Provel because it uses that special St. Louis cheese. And I think that's all we need for that, right? So index terms and save. All right, so now both of those have been added to the recipe book, which is great. And I'm going to navigate back to Cookbook Home to see what else I can do. I'm curious what my cookbook looks like. So let's take a look over here at Preview Book so that I can look at a 3D preview right here in my browser and see what it looks like. I'm going to page through, and you can see when the book is built. Actually, back here we've got several pages where you can add your own information, maybe in memory of Grandma and Grandpa, a dedication. Maybe you want to put a family history here. Maybe on this page you want to say the current generation and this is what the families look like, or this is where they're from, or heck, you can put their addresses or whatever you might want to do. And then the contributors. The contributors automatically build from the contributor field in the recipe entry area. And then we've got our table of contents. And again, magically, the table of contents will build for you as you build the recipes. And we're just going to flip through and see. Oh, I already had entered a couple of recipes before I got to seeing you guys today. So this one's for the Provel cheese dip. One thing you can see is that the picture is full size here. The recipe is listed on the right-hand side across from the photograph. There's a cute little drawing here just to kind of take up some of that white space. We've got a little chicken guy up here in the header. So these are all options that I'll show you when we get to the options section. There's another one for toasted raviolis that I entered before you guys came. And you'll see that it bleeds over to another page here. So it will automatically do that for you. And then main courses, we're like the barbecue steak we entered. The miscellaneous, here's our pizza. But what's missing? It's going to be those pictures. So let's see how we can add some pictures. As you can imagine, we go back to Cookbook Home. What we want to navigate to in order to add those photos is Edit under Recipes. And then we're going to go to the main courses for the pork. And here we can see the pork steak recipe. We're going to click on Edit. And you can see on the right-hand side, there's a spot for us to add that recipe photo. So I'm going to pick my pork steaks photo. Let that load. Make sure that I go down to the bottom and save. And then what I want to do is make sure that that photo for that recipe is nice and big. So the way we go is back to our Cookbook homepage. So this is going to be in the Design Center in the middle here. So we're going to go to our Design Center. And then we're going to go over to the Photo section. And then we're going to do our Recipe Picture Manager. And it's going to show us all the recipes that have a picture. And what I want to do is edit the picture for my barbecue steaks. So if you wanted to put a caption under the picture, this would be where you would do that. We might say Grandma's pork steaks, just so you can see an example. You can also tell how large you want that to be. That's going to be a full page size in the center, color photo, and maybe we'll just put a little line around it and save our changes. Now, when we go back to preview our book, we're going to be able to see that that picture of those pork steaks came up perfectly. And then we're going to look at our 3D preview in our browser. And then we're going to navigate over to the pork steaks. So just popping through here. We want it to look hopefully just like those, right? And boom, there we go. There's our pork steak photo next to our recipe in perfect order. Now, just to repeat those steps one more time, if you go to Cookbook Home and then you want to edit and add a photo to your recipe, we're going to do it for pizza, right? Edit. And we're going to add a recipe photo here. Going to put our pizza in here. Always make sure and save. It's in a couple places up here and at the bottom as well. And then navigate back to home. In our Design Center, manage those photos. It's a recipe. And we want to make sure pizza, there you go. So edit to get our pizza picture to edit. I don't want a caption for this one. I also want it to be full page size, center color, and that little border line, and save. Once we go back to previewing our book, we should see the pizza picture in its perfect place. So this guy was at the end of the book. We'll just keep going till we get to him. And there we go. So those are the basics on getting your recipes started. When you're ready, head on over to the Advanced Features video to learn a little bit more about the settings to make your project really cool. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Happy creating!